16 foods that you can keep in your fridge that will help you if fat loss is your goal. So the first food sounds kind of crazy, but it's blueberries. Now, blueberries aren't gonna make you burn fat, but when it comes down to being able to get your sweet fix or your fruit fix, blueberries are going to probably be the least problematic with the most benefit. So you get that sweet fix and an added benefit. So there's actually evidence that suggests that it improves your glucose levels. There was a study that took a look at subjects and they gave them 2 smoothies per day. One smoothie, or both smoothies I should say, in one group had 22.5 grams of blueberry bioactives, so compounds from blueberries. The other group didn't get those, but they had the same exact smoothie otherwise. The group that had the blueberry bioactives added to their smoothie had an improvement in insulin sensitivity and a significant decrease in their fasting glucose levels. So blueberries are doing something, not to mention the antioxidants, which are good for the brain, the anthocyanins. Flat out, cheap, inexpensive, accessible fat loss food. Number 2 is a weird one. Okay, pineapple. Now hear me out, because pineapple is high in sugar, but it also is high in a particular enzyme that seems to have some interesting effects. There's a study published in Food, Science, and Behavior. Now, granted, this was done on rats, but it's still very fascinating. So they had these rats overeat a high-fat diet until they were obese. They made them obese. What they found is when they gave the rats pineapple juice, it reversed the effect on their cholesterol, their lipids, their overall metabolic markers. It actually protected them from getting super unhealthy as a result of becoming obese from the high-fat diet. Mechanistically, the researchers speculate that it has to do with the bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme in pineapple. Not only does it help with protein digestion, but it also helps stimulate the enzymes that help lipolysis. So it's a very pro-fat oxidation, pro-fat mobilizing food. The next one is really interesting because if you had have asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I would have considered this a great food, but I wouldn't have made it like a top fat loss food.
This is hands down the best multivitamin stack I've ever used. That's the honest truth. It's a company called
Phi Health.
And this is their morning and nighttime stack. And it's not like regular pills or capsules. They use this interesting technology. It's like this micro encapsulation, little micro pills. So you're getting true absorption. You're not getting this breakdown that's happening too late. So you're getting the proper utilization of the nutrients. But they separate ingredients so that you're not having competing nutrients, right? For example, calcium inhibiting magnesium. They pay attention to the things that no one else is paying attention to. And that's why people have such good results with it. Like their nighttime stack doesn't have melatonin. It doesn't make you crash out. It's just giving you the nutrients that you need more at night versus ones you would need in the morning. So their stack in the morning helps me feel a little bit more alert, helps me feel awake, but it's just working with my body's diurnal rhythms better. Whereas the nighttime formula is working synergistically with my body there. So no one has ever done a multivitamin setup like this. And the more that I get into the science, the more I realize it's about nutrient quality and not having nutrient gaps in your diet. And we all have those in our daily life. So having something like this that gives me the strategy and the ability to bring nutrients in, this is exactly what I need. So that link down below lets you try them out and get a special discount as well, plus a free gift with purchase. So check them out. They're in the top line of this description. It's called the Phi Stack. It's super awesome. Check them out.
Cottage cheese. Now, cottage cheese is great, super high protein. It's amazing, it's delicious. But why is it making this list? There was a study published in the journal Appetite, took a look at eggs versus cottage cheese for breakfast. Same exact amount of fats, okay, 21 grams of fat, 26 grams of protein in both groups. And then they took a look at their metabolic markers, they took a look at their hormones and their satiety levels, like their score. They were the same, right? So you can get a lot more bang for the buck with casein protein in like a cottage cheese as far as satiety is concerned than a lot of other forms of protein or a whey protein shake or definitely a bowl of cereal or something, right? So having cottage cheese on hand is one of the best high protein fat loss foods that you could have. And when it does come down to bang for the buck or bang for the calorie, you can opt for lower fat cottage cheese and still have the casein protein, which digests very slow. There was a study published in Cell Reports, I can't recall, it was back in December of 2023, basically found that if you consume 100 grams of a slow digesting protein, you're gonna absorb and utilize pretty much all of it. It just is gonna take a lot of the day. So what that means is you could have a big amount of cottage cheese and it's gonna tide you over for a long time as far as muscle protein synthesis is concerned. This next one you've heard me talk about before, Greek yogurt, but check this out. You could go with Greek yogurt or Bulgarian yogurt, which has even more probiotics in it because there's a study published in the journal Functional Foods took a look at yogurt that had a lot of probiotics in it, so even some that were added, and then a control yogurt that was just kind of a baseline low amount of probiotics, if any. The interesting thing is, over the course of 6 weeks, there was a 3 to 4% drop in total body fat, not body fat percentage, but total body fat, in the group that had the yogurt with the probiotics compared to the yogurt without. So even though calories were matched, the probiotics had an impact. And literature speculates that maybe it's going to be something to do with the GLP-1 effect. So there's an effect on GLP-1 receptors that might make us more satiated throughout the rest of the day. I just like the taste of Greek yogurt. So I take Greek yogurt, I might put a scoop of protein, maybe I'll put some stevia, make it sweet, and that's just a delicious meal for me. This next one is gonna raise eyebrows at first, but hear me out on it. Ready to eat meat. Okay, you can get deli meat for sure. And here's the thing, like, a lot of deli meat is total garbage. There is some deli meat out there that's decent, like, right, it's just gonna have a few things in it, or salt, or usually, you know, you can find ones without a preservative. Okay, this next one is a Thomas thing. Okay, this is something you're probably not gonna see in a lot of other people's fridges, but nowadays you can get even pre-cooked spaghetti squash. They have it, like, you can almost go, there's companies that make it already dry, there's companies that make it fresh, you can find it at Costco, or you could just get spaghetti squash and cook it yourself and then put it in the fridge. Super high soluble fiber content for what you're getting. It's basically just water, it's low carb, it's low calorie, and believe it or not, spaghetti squash, once you cook it and then reheat it, it gets more al dente, it gets more like real pasta. It's bizarre. And you could put cottage cheese on it and it melts on it a little bit, it tastes good. You could put tomato sauce. I'm telling you, it is a fat loss food because it fills you up with so much volume. So I would say at least 2 weeks out of the month, I've got a Tupperware with spaghetti squash in my fridge. Along the same vein, there's something called Shirataki Noodles, which I've talked about probably ad nauseum on my channel. They have something called glucomannan fiber in them, one of the most potent fibers that's out there. There's a study published in Obesity Medicine. It was a systematic review and meta-analysis. It found that just in 8 weeks, when subjects added glucomannan fiber or Shirataki noodles to their diet, there was a significant weight loss. And that's simply because this is a compound, a fiber, that absorbs so much water that it swells up significantly. So you eat a little bit of this and you're full. So get those little packets of inexpensive Shirataki noodles, and if you're like, hey, I need to eat something really quick, trust me, it's easy. Number 8 is kimchi. Hear me on this. Okay, in this world, you can choose sauerkraut or you can choose kimchi. Sauerkraut is great, but kimchi is better. Kimchi is better because it has the prebiotics in it, because you get the garlic, you get the onion, you get the actual prebiotics. Whereas with sauerkraut, it's great, but it's cabbage that's fermented, and that's it. So you get the probiotics, but you're not getting a prebiotic fiber like you're getting with kimchi. And there's evidence to back this up as well. So there's even companies that make like kimchi pickles. So you can get pickles that have basically been marinating in the kimchi probiotic-rich juices. Your spouse or whoever you live with is going to hate you because it stinks up the kitchen, so go outside and eat it. But trust me, this is something that I don't live without. I always have kimchi in my fridge. Watermelon versus cookies. There was a study published in the journal Nutrients that literally compared eating 2 cups of watermelon to cookies. And what do you think they found out? Subjects had significantly less cravings and wanted to start opting for the watermelon over the cookies. So when they gave them the option to have watermelon or cookies, they'd eat the watermelon, and they would be so satiated and satisfied, they would actually want the watermelon more. And that's what we're after. Making it so that we're not wanting to reach for the cookies. So although watermelon is something that I really only have in my fridge when it's in season, because nobody has time for nasty, mushy, wet dog smelling watermelon. That's disgusting. But in the summertime, my fridge is stuck full of watermelon. It becomes my intra-workout. I eat watermelon during my workouts sometimes. I'll bring watermelon juice on runs with me sometimes. I am addicted to watermelon, but I'm not addicted to cookies. This next one is interesting. Number 10 is natto, which is fermented soy. Now you've probably unsubscribed because you're like, Thomas has lost his mind. He's finally getting on the soy train. Here he goes. We've lost him to veganism. No, that's not the case at all. In fact, if you go back through the chronicles of my videos, you see I've always been a fan of natto. And it's simply because it's not like regular soy. When it's fermented, it changes. And if you look at a lot of the countries and the regions that consume lots of natto or lots of fermented soy, they have huge life expectancies, but they also have all these other benefits, and you're getting protein in. The reason I put it here is not something I have in my fridge all the time, but it's easy to put into just about anything. And sometimes I crave that unique, weird taste of natto. So if I want something that's high protein, technically a complete protein, although probably not as complete and nice profile as like a steak, I'm gonna at least opt for something that's easy like natto. Number 11 is hard-boiled eggs. Goes without saying. Keep these in your fridge. They are a fat loss food in the sense that they are high in protein, but full disclaimer, they can be dangerous too. Because when you cook eggs and you scramble them, I don't know, it's like slower to eat them. When you eat a hard-boiled egg, and you can ingest 70 calories like that, right? So you eat 3 hard-boiled eggs, you're at 210 calories, albeit wholesome, nutrient-rich, lots of B vitamins, lots of choline. They're great. You should have them in your fridge, but I don't recommend going for more than 2 at a time. Number 12, I'm sharing a little bit of my secret sauce with you. This is something that my wife started making a long time ago, and I know it's something you have to make, but I will tell you, this has a fat loss effect. Hear me out. Okay, yes, it's somewhat refined. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take 2 cups of gluten-free flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a pinch of salt to taste, usually just like half a teaspoon will do, and 2 cups of fat-free Greek yogurt. Mix it all together, roll it out, put it in the oven, or cut it into circles first, you're making literally a fat-free, gluten-free naan bread. I am telling you, it is an utter game changer. Such a game changer. Having these things in the fridge, if you need that carb fix, it is so much better to have something as far as volume, not necessarily as far as grams are concerned, but as far as volume, a 1-to-1 ratio of a starch to a protein. Like if you were to go grab a regular piece of bread or naan bread, it's gonna be an astronomical amount of carbs and very little protein. But when you make this naan bread with the Greek yogurt, and trust me, it's the easiest thing, and you can look up a recipe for it. You could just Google like gluten-free, like Greek yogurt naan bread, and there's a million recipes for it. Trust me, you can get like 20 grams of carbs in along with like 10 grams of protein. It's awesome. Number 13 kind of leads me to something similar. There's a lot of breads out there that are made with tapioca and psyllium and these things. They're like these higher fiber breads that are totally gluten-free and almost ketogenic breads. I don't want to name specific brands, but they're there. So just look for the ones that are like a couple grams of net carbs with like 10, 15 grams of fiber. I like to have these things on hand because it gives me my bread fix, but it's a high fiber, low carb fix. Another one that's really awesome, number 14, pre-packaged beets. Beets are amazing, but they are the biggest pain in the ass in the world to cook, and they make a mess. So the prepackaged beets, which you can get at pretty much any grocery store these days, I've literally even seen them at the Dollar Tree before, so I know you can get them. Okay, they're usually vacuum sealed. You eat a couple of them, and you get a high amount of nitric oxide, so you're getting a good amount of just overall vascular effect. There's also heart health benefits, cardiovascular disease benefits when it comes down to beets, but you're also pretty low carb in the grand scheme of things. Like compared to things of equal weight, they're about half the amount of carbohydrates when you're looking at like fruits and whatnot. So beets, although they're sweet, they're not as carb dense as you would think, and they are exceptionally, exceptionally satiating. The next one is mustard. Number 15 is simply mustard. Stone ground mustard or Dijon mustard. Try to avoid maybe the honey mustard stuff with the high fructose corn syrup. The reason I say mustard is because you can put it on anything. You can put it on a piece of deli meat, and it enhances and elevates that deli meat from at least a 4 to at least a 6. It's making it doable. You can also put it on celery. You can put it on some broccoli. You can put it on your cat. Like, it's amazing what mustard does to food to elevate it. So always have a little bit of mustard on hand. Plus there's like no calories in it. And lastly, this one comes with a little bit of prep, cold potatoes. Cook some potatoes and then put them in the fridge. You've seen me talk about this all the time. Resistant starch, retrograded starch. When you heat a starch, like a potato, and then you cool it, the starch or the glucose molecules, the starch chains, go back into their original form, and they actually become a prebiotic food with a very low glycemic index. So you get the enjoyment of a potato, but it's cold, but without maybe the glucose spike, but also is hugely beneficial for the gut. And as we saw with that Greek yogurt study, clearly probiotics or changing our gut bacteria has a positive impact on our health, possibly even our body fat levels. So if you're craving a carb, it's better to opt for like a cold potato that's just readily available than it is to maybe pour yourself a bowl of Frosted Flakes. I'll see you tomorrow.